a catalyst. It's a catalyst that has become our primary response whenever we are faced with shame, annoyance, grief, offense, or ego vulnerability. We live in a culture that is completely riddled with anger. We use it as a catalyst to make us feel morally superior or to solve our interpersonal dilemmas. But the harsh reality is, anger doesn't produce fruitful results that actually foster change. You see, when we are confined by the narrow shells of egos and circles of selfishness, our anger transforms into evils, such as hatred, revenge, violence, and destruction. Anger is a powerful catalyst, but a life-sucking companion. Luckily, we have the power to choose how we respond. Anger is a natural and primary emotion experienced by all humans. As defined by University of Maryland's Dr. Stephen Stosny, anger is a protective emotion caused by ego vulnerability. Someone says or does something that offends our ego or makes us feel devalued. When people violate our deepest values, who we are, what we believe, and what is most important to us, we become fearful and vulnerable to anxiety. We feel devalued or violated by others. We feel threatened and require more anger or resentment for defense, or for a way to feel morally superior to whoever damaged our pride. Philosophers have been attempting to scrutinize anger and its effects on people for ages. Seneca, a Roman philosopher, writes, "Certain wise men, therefore, have claimed that anger is temporary madness, for it is equally devoid of self-control, forgetful of decency, unmindful of ties, persistent and diligent in whatever it begins, closed to reason and counsel, excited by trifling cause, and unfit to discern the right and true." Seneca explains that anger fogs our mindsets, and it makes us react in ways we wouldn't otherwise react. But an emotion is simply an emotion. It does not foster critical thinking, and it isn't an antidote that cures our problems. Now, everybody gets angry, and there's Bible justification to why we feel that way. The spectrum of problems that sets off our anger is almost infinite. We get angry at slight provocations, like when someone cuts us off. We also get angry at significant acts of injustice, like racial discrimination, terrorism, murder, and poverty. However, when we react with anger, our perceived injustice isn't fixed. Oftentimes, the problem actually escalates, and our true intentions end up being masked by our outrage. Anger and action are not synonymous. Often we muddle the two, believing that if we're not angry about an unjust situation, we're simply accepting it. However, that's not the case. Just look at social media to see in operation. Take Twitter or Facebook. They are infested with toxicity and hatred. People upset about one thing and taking a stand on another. According to research from the University of British Columbia, those who join causes online fighting for some type of social injustice are not more apt to actually do something about it. They are in turn less likely to take action. If you click the like button on the Help the Poor Children of Uganda, you're actually less likely to donate money in support of those starving children. If you write a long rambling post about how you're infuriated with one of the many recent mass shootings, you're actually less likely to do anything in support of gun control or do anything for those victims. Let's face it, we are absolutely infatuated with taking stands on things that cost us absolutely nothing. We get to think we're involved, and if we're angry, we get to say, well, my anger seems justified. The myth of justified anger actually impedes action because it allows us to congratulate ourselves for a feeling or an emotion rather than for doing something. Meanwhile, someone who didn't post about it, someone who didn't click like on the cause, and someone who did not purchase the bumper sticker could actually be dedicating their time and finance to compassionately benefit the cause. When faced with injustice, most of the times we want to do something about it. But when we are emotionally controlled by anger, it hinders our endeavors to set things right. Now, no matter how reasonable it could possibly seem to us in the moment, anger is never the solution. When we are in situations that are stressful or evoke anger, we react with an intent to fix it. However, most of the mechanisms we use to solve the problem end up making it much worse. Many people experience this daily with road rage. Tailgating, stress, heavy traffic, and fear of being late to our desired destination most commonly cause road rage, anger, and aggression in drivers. This deep emotion experienced while driving causes people to do violent things, like speed past, constant tailgating, horn honking, finger flipping, pulling over to fight, causing accidents, or even worse, kill the other driver. Instead of actually fixing the situation, road rage makes things much worse. This is an example of an accident caused by road rage. 4 people lost their lives in an accident in southern Idaho because of one person's anger. We become so enraged with what initially set off our anger that we react violently, resulting in life-altering consequences. Anger doesn't get us what we want. It never has, and it never will. Anger is inevitable. It's a normal emotion that we will never stop feeling and that will always grab a hold of us. However, we can stop the negative ways that this simple emotion affects our decisions and ultimately our lives. The truth is, you get to choose how to respond. When you are faced with political topics you do not support or devastating injustices that you are enraged by, you must realize that anger isn't going to solve the travesty, but taking action with the right motives will. When you are overcome by road rage, instead of flipping someone off or driving recklessly, you could choose to be more patient and understanding, which will not only save you time and stress, but could even save lives. The devastation caused by the life-sucking emotion of anger can be remedied by the life-giving response of humility. When you respond with humility, you won't feel the need to always be right, and you will become less offended. You will become more successful in your attempts to create change and maintain connections with others. You will become more patient and more understanding, which forces us to pause before anger influences our actions. In a world where there is so much to be angry about, choose humility. Thank you.